Hello everyone, this is Gwen Clayton and welcome to Tuesday Newsday, where we talk about wine, books, and esoterica along with news of the day. So I am going to start off talking about wine. So this week's wine is the Writer's Block 2016 Zinfandel. And let me read you the description on the back. The unknown clone Zinfandel, the great misunderstood lady of lore, the one from the one not known before. Before what? No one can say. From chalice to palaces, as likely from Rome as from Livingston, Montana. Montana, a Montana original, a tale of whose details have been meticulously recorded, possibly from a history distorted. From dryland to highland and flats and mountains, deep roots put down, tapping ideas as well as terroir. Always as much as approachable lady, fortunately secretive and seductively shady. A fictitious myth, this Zinfandel of mine. So I didn't actually open this bottle. I bought it because my first book from Mata Sellers came out in 2016, and Zinfandel is the name of the ghost who haunts the winery. So I had to get this as a keepsake. I am actually going to put it on top of George, our antique desk, and it's going to go alongside my signed copy of, or my signed bottle of Frivolo. It was signed by the label artist, and also my my first run of Old Co. Indiana sour mash from Edwin Co. So that's great. Happy to be talking about that. This should be a good wine, and I might just go ahead and order a second bottle. I'm not really sure. Trying to watch my spending, but we will be talking about wine next week. We're going to be talking about Oliver Winery's dry red blend. So that should be interesting. So books. This past week, I finished reading Heroine of the Jungle by Joseph Leajore, and I'm not sure if he's watching right now, but I'd like to invite him if he is. He's actually a resident of Kenya, and so the book is it's kind of hard to follow. The language is not it's not the same kind of vernacular as American English, but let me read you a little piece. As Lorik and his age mates celebrate jubilantly, to the contrary, his sister Naturek was in dilemma. She had no inkling the course her life would take. She abhorred how women were marginalized and their fate depended on the man who married them. She detested the fact that she had no authority of shaping her own path her life would take, or even who to marry. She inwardly raged as she knew her life depended on a few men who would sit one day and decide who would give her a husband without considering her take on the person. She was set for doom because of tradition. She never liked the way life was in their village, especially the way women were treated by their husbands. Like the father, the son will be the same in character, like sons of the same mother. They behave the same way toward the wife, as if trained in wife harassment. They assured her that she is unexceptional, but she will dance in the same tunes of harassment. This diminished her dream of getting married. So what this book is about is the women. It's about a young woman who is supposed to be, the marriages are arranged by their fathers, of course, and the girls marry at a very young age. So this heroine tries to escape that life. She wants to go to university, she wants to study, she wants to learn, and she wants to help other women get out of this. And so it's all about her struggles and how much she has to overcome. So it's a good story. It is a little hard to read, but keep reading it. I think it's very important for Western readers to understand what's going on with girls and women in Africa, because it really is disturbing. So the next book I have so I finished reading that book, and I started reading T.G. Wolff's Widow's Run. I got this. T.G. Wolff is a local author here in Fort Wayne. Her real name is Tina, and this is a really good book. It's a fun book to read. The language is kind of crass, so just be aware of that. But it's very well written, and I'm really happy with it. So let me just read you a passage. Oh, so Widow's Run is about a woman who fakes her own death because she wants to go back to her roots as a CIA agent and find out who killed her husband. And it's really interesting. And there's this one character who I'm just absolutely in love with, and I think you'll fall in love with him too. A young boy named Andrew Dix. So what happens is, Dixon. So she gives up her life as a CIA agent, and she becomes like a house mom for wayward youth. And this one youth is named Andrew Dixon. For 2 years, I juggled marriage and chemistry, court appearances and barbecues. I could write a book about it, but it would be boring. Nobody wants to read a story about how happy someone is, please. We all want to read about hardship and pain. We want to know other people's lives are worse than ours. We all appreciate a good underdog story, but only after the dog has been kicked, stepped on, and lied to. And so you'll be happy to hear we are at the point where my life went over a cliff. A year ago, Gabriel had been invited to be a keynote speaker at an international conference on population growth. He was so excited, he called everyone he knew and a few he didn't. He wrote his speech and rehearsed it to the point he recited it in his sleep. He held me hostage when he couldn't decide which one of the 5 brown suits he owned to wear. I loved him most when he geeked out. We were flying out together. I would have a little vacation in a city I adored while he razzle-dazzled Big Ag from around the world. The night before we were to leave, one of my kids was arrested. Andrew Dixon. Everyone has a favorite, and Dix was mine. With my husband's support, I delayed leaving for a day. The next morning, I was at the hearing at Dixon's side when he was charged with hacking into the Taco network and repricing beef tacos for 10 cents. He owned the crime, but argued extenuating circumstances. He was hungry and he only had $1. I loaned him the money for the fine, which he would earn with a part-time job at said Taco. Everyone was a winner. So that's it's a cute book, it's a fun book, and I highly recommend it. So I joined a book club, and I finally joined a book club, I should say. I've been holding off on joining book clubs because they always read national titles, and I really wanted to focus on local authors. But I also felt like I reached a point in my life where I needed to be around other people so that we could just geek out together and dissect a really good story. So I joined a group called Books, Broads, and Brews, and we get together once a month and share a drink, share an appetizer, whatever, and discuss our book of the month. Well, for December, I didn't quite follow instructions. I didn't see the point that said, or the part that said, we're reading One Day in December by Josie Silver. So I didn't read the book. All I saw was the part about we're going to have a white elephant book exchange. So I picked my version of Prairie Fires, or my copy of Prairie Fires by Caroline Fraser. And so that was, I remembered to bring a gift. I just didn't read the book. So this month we are reading The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And so I went ahead and I ordered it that night. I ordered it off my Amazon shopping app while we were sitting there at dinner. We met at Welch's Ale House on, I think it's South Calhoun, but it was fun. That was a fun night. Lots of great women. So those are my books, the book part. And now we're going to get into Esoterica, which is the third part of what I want to talk about tonight. So it's the winter solstice, which is great. And I love the winter solstice. There's always magic happening around winter. And I'm not going to rehash the history of Christmas and its pagan roots and how all these different traditions are rooted in pre-Christian traditions, which is great. And I'm not doubting any of that. I'm not saying any of that's true. I'm just saying you can get that information anywhere. It's been all over the news for years, and it's great. And I love all religions. I really do. I love the pagan religions. I love Wicca. I love Druidry. I love Asatru. All that good stuff. The heathen traditions are great too. So it's all good, and I do love it. But for me, thinking about Christmas, I made a big deal about it in my Rivervine trilogy. The way that I have it in my writing is that so there was a woman from Galilee, and she was with child, and she was unwed. She was an unwed woman with child, and there was this one minstrel in Galilee who was just so in love with her. The child was not his, but he had asked her to marry him. And she said no, she was going to marry a carpenter instead, because a carpenter could support a family better than a traveling minstrel. Well, he was so distraught that he threw himself into the Sea of Galilee and drowned. And so he became a ghost, and he continued to watch over this woman and her family throughout their lives. And now he is a ghost inside a Catholic church in this fictional city of Rivervine. Rivervine is the city that I made up. It was inspired by the Sierra foothills of Northern California. Small little community, very rural, gorgeous, absolutely loved living there. And they have a very prolific, very vibrant wine region. And so I set my haunted winery in this region. And so I created so the main story centers around this haunted winery, but the Catholic Church is also haunted, and it's haunted by this Father Christopher, who originally lived 2,000 years ago in Galilee. So he's haunting the Catholic Church, and every Christmas Eve, he just loses it. So he barricades himself inside one of the confessionals, and at the stroke of midnight, he just wails. And it's become a big event for the whole town knows about it, and they all come to see the crying confessional. Well, this one year, in 2003, he gets visited by an old friend of his from Turkey. So let me read you that passage. So this is from Mata Sellers. This is my first book. And this is written in first person point of view. And the main character is the winery's marketing director. His name is Manuel Chavez. And Manuel is struggling to, he just finds out, or he just realizes that he's homosexual, and he has a crush on his old high school friend named Joaquin. So they start exploring their relationship, and they end up going to Mass together because they're both Catholic. So Joaquin and I went to midnight Mass at St. Bernadette's. He's been such a comfort to me these past weeks. He even offered to let me move in with him after the first of the year. Zavia and Sage have both assured me I can keep working at Fermata Cellars until I sell the entire inventory. We got to church plenty early. Christmas Eve is always packed at Catholic masses, but St. Bernadette's is especially full because everyone wants to see the crying confessional. This year has me particularly interested now that I know whose voice is doing the weeping. I stopped by the novena altar. As always, there were two types of candles available, itty-bitty votive for $1 and 7-day candle encased in glass for $3. This will be the last wick I ever light here. Better make it a big one. I put $3 in the offering slot, not having any clue what to pray for. So I just said, here's to whatever. It's in your hands now, God. We found a seat near the choir and waited for Mass to begin. It was the same scene as every year. We sat through the usual scripture readings and sang all the same carols. The kids were cute, reenacting the nativity scene. Father Armando wrapped up the Eucharist, then the media frenzy hit. All the reporters prepped their cameras and digital recorders in the hopes of St. Christopher soon would be there. Once the crying began, the doors of the narthex flung open and everyone saw the snowstorm blowing outside. The votives at the novena altar all blew out, but the 7-day candles encased in glass remained lit. It never snows in Rivervine. Some people chalked it up to pure coincidence, but others started gossiping about it being a sign of the end of the world or something. Then the crying from the confessional turned into laughter and chatter. I heard Father Christopher's voice carrying on in some weird language with another man, like two old chums sharing a beer at a bar or something. I didn't recognize the second voice or the language the men were speaking, but there were a lot of zh in almost every word. It was very strange. I called out, "Hello, Zinfandel," assuming she was the second voice. A chill brushed across my shoulder. "It is not I," an invisible woman muttered. "Pay closer attention, darling. I do not speak Turkish." Then I remembered a potential third specter, St. Nicholas. My suspicions about the identity proved correct for a few moments later, as soon as I heard Father Christopher yell, "Why not?" Then an old man with a long white beard and a red velvet cloak stepped out of the confessional and began passing out peppermint candies to all of the children. Reporters, parishioners, and children, all wet, cold, and covered in slush from playing in the snow, rushed in awe to get a closer look at the stranger. Gossip, speculation, and predictions of omens littered the air. The only thing stronger filling the ether was a floral scent. I realize women like to wear perfume, but do they actually need to marinate in it? It was really heavy. It was stronger than Mr. Fermansky's rose garden in full bloom. I walked toward the confessional in hopes of talking to Father Christopher. The closer I got, though, the stronger the scent was. I couldn't see anybody nearby, but I was ready to give whoever it was a piece of my mind about the importance of keeping body fragrance to a minimum in public. Frustrated, I decided to head back to the sanctuary to find Joaquin. I found him outside, overlooking a group of children making snow angels. We looked at the parking lot to find a mess of cars and slush, so we decided to just hang out at the church until the snow stopped and the parking lot cleared. Around 1:30 a.m., we hopped in my car, got the heater and defroster going, and set the radio to KRVN to hear what the reporters had to say about the mess. Oh yes, it was indeed the talk of the town. I almost called in to tell them what really happened, but I decided to keep the secrets to myself and Joaquin. I gave him the whole scoop, my interview with the ghosts, the commodity rituals I've been attending, and who the crying confessional really was. So, just want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, blessed Yule, whatever holiday you celebrate, Happy Hanukkah. All of the holidays of the season. I hope that this winter solstice finds you well and happy. I will not be here next Tuesday. That next Tuesday is Christmas Eve, and I'm going to be at my sister-in-law's house having a wonderful Christmas dinner, thanks to her. So I'll be back New Year's Eve. I probably will do a show or a live chat. If anyone has any questions, meet me back here. There's one event that I want to tell people about. It is the Invisible Vets professional sports auction that they're doing, and this is going to benefit the Invisible Vets program. I've started working with the Northeast Indiana-based Community Council, helping them with their marketing, and the Invisible Vets program helps veterans on the verge of homelessness and other things. So I'm going to post a link in the comments below to more about the Invisible Vets program. I'm also going to post links to the books that I discussed and the wine I discussed tonight. I hope you all have a wonderful Tuesday evening. Thanks.